It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name's Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, Kang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Groovy.
Hope everybody's doing okay out there. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I got some movies watched. Yay. I finally finished Tracker. I've been watching that one. Pretty good. Even if Jensen wouldn't have been in one of the last episodes, I still think I would have enjoyed this show. So I'm kind of glad that he at least did a cameo because I found a new show I like.
Oh, yes. So, thank God.
Yep.
We got more Jensen in the world.
I just said thank you, Jesus. But yeah, and it's kind of cool because I can see the story that they're setting up there. Tracker does follow the what most TV shows do with the one and done kind of thing, but there is a smaller story going on in the background of the one and done kind of thing. I kind of like it. It kind of changed there at the end, which is always kind of cool when you think you know what's going on and then you don't. So I'm excited for season 2. They said they did push that up and, had to hurry up and get that done. So I think that comes out in the fall, which is kind of weird because they just finished the first season. Amazon's got me so used to waiting 2 years before you get a second
We're not starting
season.
that rant again, damn it.
So it is kind of weird for only a couple of months and they start a new season up. Also, one thing I thought was kind of weird, I've been watching, or catching up on some of my other shows and stuff on Hulu. Normally what I do, if there's an ongoing series, I usually on the weekends I'll watch it on Hulu. Well, one show that I've watched for probably 15 years at least is Grey's Anatomy. And they're always good. It comes on Thursday on primetime TV, and then you can watch it Friday on Hulu. Well, every season, there's usually anywhere from 22 to 23 episodes. So usually about the 10th or the 11th episode, they go into the season break, which the old TV formula, most of them used to do that. Well, I noticed this season they didn't do that. They stopped at 10, and that's all the episodes we got for the season. So I've been waiting for this show to come back on. And I'm just learning that it's not. That was it,
It got canceled? Mid-season?
No. They're coming back for another season, but it won't start until, the new season did. So I think that usually is out in the summer. No, not summer. Maybe it is fall. I can't remember. But anyways, no, they're just starting a new season. So it's kind of weird, especially for a show, like I said, I think it's 17 seasons so far, and they've all been at least 20 episodes. So for us to only get 10 on this season, it was kind of, and with stuff now, you can't really say, well, there was a writer's strike going on, because I think we've recovered and moved on past that now. So I don't know, kind of crazy, but yeah, so it was kind of like, wow, damn, that kind of sucked, because the way they even ended the season wasn't like Grey's Anatomy style ending. There was no plane crash, there was no bomber in the hospital. So it's kind of weird,
Went out
So I
with a
don't know
whipper.
if that was planned or, that's just what they did. But then I also, other than what we're going to talk about tonight, I finally got around to watching Ryan Reynolds. It's not Ready Player One. What is it? Free Guy. That one's kind of cute.
You like that?
I liked it. I think, especially playing a lot of games where you have the stupid NPC that you just want to punch in the face sometimes. So it was kind of neat to see them kind of get their own personalities. So I think some of the things that I had a problem with, like him kind of being kind of dense, kind of played into the kind of like a child learning everything, because that's pretty much what he was, I think they'd said he'd only been around for like 4 years, but for most of that time he was in a loop. So it was kind of neat to see him come out of that. And I don't know. Like I said, I kind of liked it. I didn't like his name was Guy, and at the ending of it, spoiler alert, they brought in a guy named Dude. I didn't like him. I thought that was really stupid, but watching it, it's like, this is so Ryan Reynolds. Because it was like this beefy Schwarzenegger guy with Ryan Reynolds' face with blonde hair. So it was like, this is so Ryan Reynolds. But yeah, I don't think it was a serious movie or one that, probably, will ever hit the charts or anything else. But it was cute. I enjoyed it. I usually like that kind of stuff, though. But it was neat being inside of a video game. So that was kind of cool the way they did that. Yeah.
Like Ready Player One?
I don't think I've seen all of that one.
Oh.
Is that one a lot better?
It's very interesting, and the way they handle the various games, because in that one you have things like Iron Giant. It's like Iron Giant is a game. You see that image, and you see all different images of different games. It's kind of interesting in how they interact.
That's pretty cool. I'll definitely have to finish watching that one. I think when I only watched part of it wasn't cut off because I wasn't interested. It was I had something else to do. But watching what I did of it, I think I had the wrong ideal of what that movie was. And then watching it was like, oh, well, this is kind of a little more serious than I thought it was. More of a plot going on. Did you watch Free Guy?
Oh, yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was very different. And it, to me, was a Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah.
I remember him when he was doing Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place. And I enjoyed that. I kind of wish I could find that on YouTube somewhere, because that was fun.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, really? Okay. It was a 90s sitcom. And it really had him show his true wares and how he could handle different comedy. So I recommend it. It's fun.
You would think someone would have picked it up to kind of capitalize on the movie and all that.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I know Amazon's pushing Free Guy, probably for that reason, and of course, all the Deadpools and stuff too. But I like him. I think I enjoy the stuff he plays in just because I enjoy him as a person. When you see him off screen, he just seems so funny and lighthearted and compassionate, which you don't see a lot of that in Hollywood nowadays.
No.
And him and Blake, they're too funny. So and it's kind of cool that they can joke and have fun with each other too, and maintain their relationship because they are, they're in the heart of Hollywood. So it's kind of nice to see them not corrupted.
An interview with him is interesting because he does talk about his wife, and he talks about a different woman being his wife, and it's very amusing how he handles it. So
yeah. He had one post on Facebook where you could tell someone was supposed to be originally behind him, but he had cropped the picture to just his face. And he's like, "Happy birthday, I love you, Blake." So then for his birthday, she took and cropped him out of a picture and was like, "Happy birthday." It's like they're always picking at each other. But yeah, I like him. I think I may go see the new Deadpool. I've been ignoring everything on Deadpool because I know there's a lot of cameos and that kind of thing. So I've kind of been blocking all that out because I still want to be surprised,
Yeah, you've been ignoring it and blocking it and all this stuff. And who was the one who posted the pictures of dog pool in the Discord?
Well, the dog pool, that's like in all of my dog groups right now. That dog was originally a rescue, and a lady took her in, and she won the ugliest dog competition.
Yep.
And that's how Ryan saw the dog, And it's kind of like, yep, I want that dog. So she kind of had a little following and stuff before Deadpool. I know it sounds crazy because she's a dog, but she kind of had like her own Instagram and that kind of thing before he got a hold of her.
Weirdly, there's nothing crazy about that.
Oh, not at all, especially nowadays. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I think I follow her Instagram. I probably have more dogs on my Instagram list than friends.
now it's time to have that talk.
Yeah. Go through Taco.
Taco's her agent.
Yep. He decides what we do and what we don't do.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Oh gosh, a thing. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how to describe this. I watched a movie.
Dun dun dun.
That sounded like it was easy to describe.
It's no, it's the movie that's hard to describe.
Oh, okay.
So I often what I do when I'm watching, I'll find something random on Tubi or semi-random. I have standards. They're just weird. It usually involves me just sort of skimming through what it says it's got or recommendations or whatever and going, oh, that looks interesting. So I put it on my wish list or whatever they call it. Then I got an email from them the other day and it said, you have 225 things on your list. I'm like, oh shit. I didn't realize there was that many. But so I randomly picked one off of there last week. And it looked like just a weird little horror film from like the early 70s. I mean, including it's like obviously the print that Tubi has is a less than stellar like VHS rip. So it looks kind of terrible. It's not terrible, but the whole thing is just a tiny bit fuzzy, a little blurry. Anyway, the title that it lists on Tubi is Invasion of the Girl Snatchers. It says it's from 1973. Now, what makes it weird for me to do this is usually what happens is I will find it on Tubi and then watch it and then look it up. Because honestly, if I look stuff up before I watch it, I wouldn't watch anything. And I know me well enough to know this. But so apparently Invasion of the Girl Snatchers was not the original title of this movie. That was the title. It was retitled when it was essentially released on VHS in 1985. I'm going to hurt myself. The original title of this is The Hidan of Maukbeiangjow.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, tell me about it. Which actually would make sense if you watched the movie, sort of. It's one throwaway line in the movie where it comes from. But so what caught my eye on it originally was that Tubi categorized it as sci-fi, horror, and comedy. And I'm like, okay, I'll give that a shot. Why not? Okay, so for one, there's practically no horror in this. Some people die. That's as close as we get to horror. I guess technically they're zombies, but and I'm not afraid to spoil this one because I don't think anybody but Les would watch it anyway. He totally would, but
twice.
So he might. I'm not sure I won't watch it again, honestly. It's just that weird. So the story is that this private investigator and his quote-unquote team are investigating the disappearances of several women in this town. It's very vague about the town. But so what they've done is they've arranged to get one of the team kidnapped by these people because it's kidnappings and then they just have never found them again. They just disappear. So they try to arrange that, and of course they screw it up. And the beginning part where you're meeting the private investigator is funny because there's a little bit of a Mission Impossible ripoff thing going there, which is how I knew this was comedy right up front. There's no way that was not intended to be a ripoff of Mission Impossible. The whole this tape will self-destruct thing. They actually managed to make it semi-funny, but anyway. So the bad guys apparently show up early and kidnap the girl early. And the only reason they can find where they've taken them is because the young guy that nobody wants to include on the team has already found where they're hauling these people. Has already found the place, and it's like I'll take you there. He's like, no, you have to stay here, blah blah. No. And one of the other things that made it a comedy, and again, this is all in the first 15 minutes of this roughly 90-minute movie, maybe a little less, I forget, is the private eye is like, it's cool. He's telling the girl, they're going to kidnap you, but it's okay. We're going to track you. We've got this tracker inserted in this bra. So go next door and put the bra on, and we can track you. Piece of cake, no problem. She's like, okay. She goes next door, and because the kidnappers show up early, she hasn't put the bra on yet. So she actually ends up answering the door topless because she's putting the bra on and gets kidnapped topless. And the bra is in the room. And of course they go through the whole, they found out they kidnapped her early. So the private eye goes out to the car, gets the tracker, turns it on. tears off in his car, basically drives around the parking lot and comes back and parks again and lugs the tracker back into the room, not really paying attention where he's going, to find the bra. This is basically the kind of humor that this movie entails. So, I mean, it is slightly funnier than me describing it, but it's not, it ain't Airplane. It's intended to be funny, and as long as you're willing to take it that way, it's not bad, but it's not a great movie either. I mean, this is clearly potentially a negative budget situation. This is a very low budget movie. And so they end up going out to the house, and the kid, the young guy that nobody wants to include, ends up being the hero of the story and ends up saving whoever's left to be saved at that point. There's a lot of back and forth. There's the private eye hires these thugs to go out and roust the stuff, and there's a lot of misdirection and a lot of running through fields and some interesting jokes about leg cramps and weird alien possession zombie things, and it's kind of impressively weird. While it's not a particularly good movie, the music is actually pretty interesting too. But it's like some dude and a banjo. Well, not exactly, but not really that far off of it either. I mean, he's like singing and stuff. It's like, and it's, I'd almost say you have to watch it, but I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna feel left out if they don't, because like I said, it's not great. It entertained me. I watched the whole thing. I didn't like stop 20 minutes in because it was just too stupid or weird. It was weird and it was kind of stupid, but not necessarily in bad ways. The dialogue could have used some work for sure. And they were clearly like borrowing somebody's house to do the indoor shots, and they were clearly on somebody's land somewhere to do the outdoor shots, and except for the one motel scene at the beginning, which I've never seen motels with storm doors, so I'm not exactly sure where that was, but whatever. So yeah, it was entertaining. I don't know how hard I would recommend it. I think it takes a certain type to appreciate this type of movie.
Les.
I'm pretty sure Les would appreciate this type of movie. He would. I'm sure he would think it was terrible, but he would watch it.
We like bad movies.
Right, which is why I don't feel the need to only talk about good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very kind of odd experience. I like watched it and got to the end, and the people that walked out were, I mean, definitely at the beginning not the people you thought were going to walk out. But yeah, there's a weird mystical thing going on, like I said, with alleged aliens. It's yeah. Like I said, other than there being some zombies around, I don't know that I would call it horror, but it's definitely got some weird sci-fi angles and an interesting attempt at comedy. So there you go.
There was an attempt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was clearly. I mean, it was clearly intended. It was supposed to be funny. I don't know that it was always supposed to be funny, but there's a good bit of. I mean, for a bunch of people that there's no way in hell any of these people have an IMDb. I mean, I don't think any of these people ever did anything ever again in the movie industry or anything. This was not an industry movie. There's actually one or two decent acting performances. Not many, mind you. Most of them are absolute trash, but they're at least trying. And they also appear to be having fun with it for the most part. So, you know.
Yeah.
Props for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. Les?
I watched a couple of movies, and one was a movie that's kind of considered a classic, starring Richard Carlson and Barbara Rush. And this is a movie that was co-written by Ray Bradbury. It's called It Came from Outer Space. 1953. It's hokey as hell,
Yeah.
but I just had to watch it.
Yeah, I think we lost Barbara Rush within just like earlier this year.
I wouldn't doubt it. Richard Carlson was in Creature from the Black Lagoon. Barbara Rush was in, what was that? Give me a second. Barbara Rush
She's in It Came
was
from
in
Outer Space.
and When Worlds Collide. So
Cool.
she was known. She had done some decent things. Robin and the Seven Hoods, Ombre, and several others. This one was hokey as hell, like I said, but it was fun to sit and watch the responses of the actors to what's going on around them. The other movie I watched was, I'm looking to see what year, 1957. Director was Roger Corman, and the one person I knew of was Abby Dalton. This is the saga of the Viking women and their voyage to the waters of the great sea serpent.
That's a mouthful.
That's a title and a half. Shit.
Yeah. And it was hokey as hell, especially when they had a scene where the sea serpent, which was based around a maelstrom, and the women on this boat that decided they were going to go after their men that had disappeared. They met the sea serpent, and there's a scene where the sea serpent is out in sea, but it looks, they have it coming out of the water and diving back in. It looks like a hand puppet. And I'm going, really, people? You couldn't have done something different? One of the other actors was Susan Cabot, who was in The Wasp Woman.
That's why that sounds familiar. Okay. Yeah.
This was a fun kind of, why the hell am I watching this movie? But it was somewhat entertaining. I enjoyed it. And then I would recommend both. One of them is on Tubi, I believe, and another they could be. And the other, I believe, is on Prime. So if you get a chance, and you really want to waste your time, this is a good one. Both of them are good at trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And like I said, Corman was the director of this one. So this is an early Corman movie, 57. So this was prior to his Poe movies, obviously. And to me, it was just fun to think that maybe I can make it through this. I did, so I was kind of surprised. But I do recommend it.
Cool.
And for the record, Barbara Rush passed away March 31st at age 97.
Ah, thank you.
There you go. Yeah, see, you complain about the effects in the Viking women.
Mm-hmm.
But see, what you have to remember is that by 57, even as early as 57, Corman couldn't afford Ray Harryhausen anymore.
No, that's true.
So you kind of get what you get. I mean, Attack of the Crab Monsters wasn't any better in terms of that, and that was, I think, the same year. And yeah, the Carlson movie, I watched that not too long ago, and yeah, it's actually interesting, and it probably would have benefited from any of the actors having any understanding of what was going on in the story.
True.
And of course, also that was one of my Russell Johnson spottings not long ago. So.
And I think Viking Woman was on MST3K. I think they took a swap at that. I've not seen it. So.
I sure hope so, because it's one of those that is just rife with crap.
They've done a lot of Corman films, so
I think that might be one that I started watching and just couldn't do it anymore after about 15 minutes.
There's unfortunately there are some that I can't.
I might have to try it again.
Even with their riffing, you just can't.
Yeah,
you can't watch them.
If I remember, Russell Johnson was in It Came from Outer Space.
Mm-hmm.
Playing the assistant to a paleontologist or something. And then in the Viking Women movie, Jonathan Hayes appears as the son of the king on the island. And Jonathan Hayes played the owner of Audrey 2, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, sorry?
Go ahead.
He was one of the standards for Corman,
mm-hmm.
and he did Little Shop like 5 years later. But he was one of those that shows up in a lot of the different Corman movies.
He did some writing for him, too.
I think so.
He wrote a couple of movies, at least, early on.
Jonathan Hayes, all in my brain.
Wow.
Hey, that was one of the riffs on MST3K. I remember that because I was on the floor laughing.
Okay. But that's about what I've got.
Cool.
Do you guys remember Abby Dalton? Obviously not.
No.
Abby Dalton was an actress, and I remember her from a TV show she did with comedian. Give me a second. Back in the 60s, Joey Bishop show. So obviously she was doing it with Joey Bishop.
Probably.
She played Bishop's wife, if I recall. So, on the series. That ran from 62 to 65.
And she was in Viking Women?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
She was the main. She was also, prior to Joey Bishop, she was on Hennessy, a comedy sitcom from 59 to 62. Very lovely woman. Why she decided to do Viking Women, I don't know.
She was also on Falcon Crest from 1981 to 1986.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Take your word for that, because I never watched that show.
Well, I'm looking at her Wikipedia. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that. Whoa!
Whoa.
Kathleen Kinmont is one of her daughters.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, who's that?
She was on the show Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas, but she was also in Halloween 4. She was the sheriff's daughter.
Okay. Cool. She was also a Viking woman's daughter, but anyway.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And didn't you post that the sheriff from Halloween died recently?
Yeah, Charles Cyphers just passed away here last couple of days. I mean, most of the bits I saw mention Halloween. I do appreciate some of the ones that actually mention Major League as well, because he was the GM.
Oh, he was the who is this fucking guy?
He was the one that laughed at the owner?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know who you're talking about then. I've seen that so many times.
This one's dead. Cross him off then.
That's right. We're going to put together a team that's going to move us to Miami. Are some of these movers? Yeah. Well, for me, I don't have much, but I did take time and actually binge watch a new series that debuted August 1st on Amazon Prime. Batman Cape Crusader.
Yay.
And I'm about ready to watch it again.
Oh, so it went well then.
I enjoyed the heck out of it.
It is good.
I mean, Bruce Timm says this is what he wanted to do with Batman, the animated series, if he didn't have the restrictions of, it needs to be a little bit more family rated for children, that type of thing. And you can definitely see it. Definitely love the look of it. Definitely love the music. The voice acting is top notch. The guy, I can't remember the actor's name who's playing Bruce and Batman. He did a phenomenal job. I thought he was spot on. I know the show's getting a little hate from some of the changes they did. And Les, it sounds like you've watched it, so you know what some of the changes I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I definitely love the approach of it being Golden Age. Like the second story features Clayface, and it's actually the Golden Age version. I mean, it's still Basil Karlo, but I mean, everybody knows him from Batman animated series, and he has these abilities that he didn't have. He didn't really gain those until, I don't know, 90s or so, something like that. But originally, he was just basically a guy who was able to alter his face, but he was still technically, that was the limit of his abilities. He was a regular person. He was a crazy killer.
Yeah.
And that's the version we got in the show, and it was refreshing to watch that. Yeah, I definitely liked the show, and Amazon had already ordered 20 episodes, and this season 1's 10 episodes. We got another 10 coming. We don't know. It hadn't been announced yet, but a lot of awesome Easter eggs. I thought the stories were really well done. I don't really have any kind of complaints for the show.
Cool.
Nice.
I'd seen that one. I was going to watch it, but...
Well, like I said, I binge watched it. I sat there and watched all 10 episodes. That's how kind of glued in I was to it.
I'll have to watch that this weekend.
What made me happy about it, a couple things. One was the artwork looked a lot like the animated series. It didn't have a lot of special stuff. Second is the voice actors they used. Hamish Linklater plays Batman.
Yes, that's him.
But you also had John DiMaggio, who does Bender, who does, he was on the one with the two mice.
Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain. So you had some good voice actors there, so it's fun. Well, and they do a couple things that you would never expect for a cartoon to do. So
yeah, there's a little language. There's violence. You could see they didn't push the envelope, but you could see there was stuff there. You go, yeah, that would not have flown 30 years ago on the WB or CW or whatever it was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the writers?
Well, you got one story written by Ed Brubaker and another one by Greg Rucka, just right off the top of my head.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. I like the use of the villains. I won't spoil too much, but I mean we do get Harley Quinn, who has no ties to Joker. They actually introduced her, and we don't have a Joker yet. So I thought that was an interesting choice.
That is.
Cool.
How about the first episode with Minnie Driver?
That's where a lot of the complaints are coming from.
Well, I can see where they're coming from, but I don't understand it. Well, I think it was a perfect fit.
Well, I mean, I see where they're coming from. I didn't have a problem with it. And let's just go ahead and address it. Penguin's a woman. It's played by Minnie Driver.
Oh, God.
That's one of the complaints about the show. The other one's the fact that Commissioner Gordon and Barbara are black.
Tom Kenny is in this
Mm-hmm.
as Eel O'Brien. And who was he?
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Rocco.
Who was Eel O'Brien, though,
What are you talking about in the show or in the comics?
in the comics?
In the comics, he's Plastic Man.
Yeah.
Huh.
You mentioned other voice actors. Did you catch who was doing Harvey Dent?
Yeah.
Diedrich Balder.
Diedrich Balder. Bader.
Sorry.
Yeah. And he's really slimy in this, which kind of surprises me because, one, he played Batman in one of the animated series.
The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
And he also was friends with Drew Carey on the Drew Carey Show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you watched it because I thought it was great.
I did.
Video.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I love the look, the music. Oh God, the theme for the show. Mm-hmm. It's a nice change. I mean, you know, with the animated series, it's, you know, obviously borrows from Elfman, but it's kind of a more action oriented thing. Where this version is a eerie,
more somber.
It definitely gives you a tone of, okay, this is the Gotham that you're about to be entering. And the music's just incredible. I love that theme. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't think of anything right now that I can say, you know what, I didn't care for that.
Cool.
They made some interesting changes to some of the characters. Well, and the other one we didn't mention, Alfred. Alfred looks more like the 40s version, who was shorter and overweight.
Yes.
Instead of the traditional skinny and tall and all that. So I mean, they stuck to their guns when they were saying, "Hey, we're doing kind of a 40s version." And I saw some people talk about this, and it's just amazing how well Batman works in that time. In that time, in that environment. A lot better, probably a lot better than what he would do like in today. It just seems to work better. So,
like a Gotham by Gaslight kind of thing.
What?
That was I see Gotham by Gaslight as even pre Batman Cape Crusader.
Yeah.
To me, that was more of a process of we're in old England, and that's where that delved from.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend it. It's cool.
As do I.
Like I said, I'm about ready to watch it again. So
cool. I have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, before we get into this week's discussion, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back, and it's time for our main topic. This month, I guess we're doing a movie month. It wasn't really my intention, but that's how things worked out. Hope you enjoyed last week's. This week should be kind of interesting as well. This year marks the 25th anniversary of The Sixth Sense. M. Night Shyamalan's film starring Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment,
Toni Collette.
Toni Collette, yeah. Why did I blank on her name? God damn. This was the first movie I saw with her. And I thought, oh, she's good.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little Sixth Sense.
Oh man, I liked this one. I think when I first watched it, and they gave that twist, it was just like, oh shit. I didn't see that coming. But then it all made sense, you know.
That's funny.
Yeah. I like that they did give you the flashbacks to kind of go, see, we've been telling you this the whole movie. But I think Donnie Wahlberg, or was it Donnie or Mark?
It was Donnie.
I can't
Donnie,
tell the difference.
Amazing job. If I didn't know that was him, credit-wise, I wouldn't have known that was him. I mean, he did not look the same. Extreme weight loss to do that role, but just he was believable. He was a crazy guy. He still had some anger issues he was working out during that time too. So it kind of, yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
He always has it. He always plays characters that have anger issues.
Yeah,
I mean, even with Blue Bloods.
Yeah, but
the show that's on right now, it's just like, okay.
He's fighting.
This was more of like a mental crazy anger, though. You know, enough to kill the guy. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I think it's a bit late to worry about spoilers on this one.
Right. I also like that it was, you know, it was about dead people and stuff, but they didn't play a lot into that. We got a couple of glimpses of ghosts. I would say like maybe 3, maybe 4, if we count Bruce Willis too. But it didn't lean heavy into that, into the gore of it or anything, which, you know, made it even a little more twisted to me, because you kind of had to, I don't know, fill in the blank, you know. When those bratty ass kids locked him in that attic, I'm glad they didn't show us what was in there, but it was kind of scary that he was locked in there with that. So, but yeah, definitely one. Once you watch it once and you get that twist and you figure it out, when you go back and watch it again anytime after, it's like all these things start standing out. And it, you know, other than Joel Osment, nobody talked to Bruce Willis. There was no interaction there with him at all, which the first time around I didn't really notice that, you know. But what an amazing job he did, because, I mean, a lot of times with acting, or, you know, definitely with acting, you take your cues from other people and, you know, you can kind of play off what they're doing. But in this movie, you couldn't do that. It was the exact opposite. You know, you couldn't. Yeah. So at least I mind blown. This was one of those ones that it was like, oh yeah.
Honestly, I think this one of his best performances.
Yes, really. For sure. And put Joel Osment, or am I pronouncing his last name right? Osment?
Osment, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Put him on the map for sure. I know he's done other things, but this one, I mean, his acting ability and stuff, and like, so watching it, you know, now, after knowing everything, knowing the twists and what's going on in the movie, you can kind of enjoy it a little bit more because, but as a mom, my heart broke for him. Imagine having that kind of secret that you can't tell anybody because everybody thinks you're a freak anyways, But as a child seeing those kind of things, it just breaks your heart, And it was surprising he wasn't more fucked up than what he was, That's a heavy burden for a young child. And once again, like Donnie Wahlberg, he nailed it. Absolutely amazing job on his part. With kid actors, sometimes it's kind of hit or miss. I think we wind up giving them a little bit more grace because they're a kid. They haven't had the schooling and the practice and the years of experience. So when you see a kid that can act that well, wow! I mean that's natural talent there.
Well, he acted well enough to get the nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
And Toni Collette got a nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah. It was good. So I'm not sure. I know he played in a lot of stuff after. I don't know how many movies Joel had played in before taking this role, but nothing that stands out like this role. And I liked that they wait until the very end to let you know we've been fucking with your head this whole movie. That I think that was the best part for sure.
See,
well, that's go ahead, Mike.
I was saying that's one of the things that makes Shyamalan's career interesting too. Is I mean, I don't know if he intended for that to be his shtick, that twist ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, he really kind of only got away with it one or two more times after that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is basically his debut movie. This is the movie that put him on the map.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did another movie before this or not. I didn't look, but and then he's trying to it felt like to me that he was constantly trying to recapture that moment from this movie in every movie after that, and it was hit or miss really bad. I mean, it was way more miss than hit after that. There were a couple that were okay.
Right.
But he had a lot of movies. He did a lot of movies that people just didn't like because it just, I mean, I think he made the mistake of trying to keep doing it every time. I think he would have been better off pulling that card every so often rather than every movie.
Exactly.
Right.
I agree.
Which is a shame because, I mean, if he could have done this every time, he would have been a Hollywood badass within a decade. But he couldn't, and unfortunately, it almost seemed a little sad that he kept trying after a while because he wasn't fooling anybody anymore after about the fifth movie.
Yeah. I could say that Jason Blum has probably fallen into the same thing, but I still think that he does it in a clever way. You know it's coming. Anytime you watch a movie of his, you know it's coming. You know just when you've fallen on your safeguard that, okay, this is what's happening, he will come along and throw that twist at you, but you never know exactly when it's coming. You don't see it coming still, So if you can master it, it's I think that's why I like him so much.
Well, and I suspect that one of the keys to mastering it is to not take it so seriously.
Yeah.
If your goal is to have fun with it, that makes it a whole lot easier than if you're really trying to shock an audience.
Yeah.
Because shocking an audience is really hard. Whereas fun is much easier.
Yeah. See, I think with Blum, it's not really to shock you. It's more to kind of fuck with your head. a kind of a, whoa. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah. Like I said,
Right.
you know
Whatever
it's
he does,
coming.
it works on you beautifully.
Yeah, beautifully.
Whether it works on anybody else, I mean, the guy's still working, so it must work on somebody.
Yep.
I don't have a ton of experience with Blum movies, but
it works out too that if he didn't throw the twist in there, it's still a good movie going on.
That helps.
Yeah. So it's not one that he relies on that twist there to make the movie. He's still got a good movie going on. Just that one little aspect that you thought you had, no. It's not that. Or it's not them. But yeah, like I said, that's sad that he fell into that.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, he did some good movies, just not all of them. And it seemed like he was trying too hard. He was leaning too hard on the twist ending there for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the movie,
seen
so.
Some of the directors fall into that. It's like they've had their opus D, and sometimes it happens early on in their career, and sometimes it doesn't happen till the very end. But if it happens early, it seems like the rest of their career they're constantly chasing that,
Mm-hmm.
Del Toro, he fell into that for a little while after Pan Labyrinth. And I think he finally overcame that because he finally realized, hey, I did something special here. I will never be able to top that in what people's mind thinks. So I'm going to do something different. And, and I think once he got away from chasing that, he's done pretty well. Definitely made a name for himself, But you could kind of tell that after a couple of movies after that, he was trying to get that freaky, weird vibe that he got from Pan.
With Del Toro, I suspect that people were pushing him to do that. I suspect that wasn't just him.
Yeah.
Because he had made a name for himself before Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
For doing other stuff.
For sure.
And slightly different stuff. And that was, that's kind of like his dream movie and all.
Shining
and it's
jewel
a
in his
really
crown.
good movie. It's a really good. But I don't know that I don't know that every one of his movies that he ever wanted to make was like that. I suspect I think people kind of pinned that on him, and probably unfairly.
Yeah.
And so it's not that he had a hard time getting over what he wanted to do. I think it was he had a hard time getting over what other people wanted him to do.
What they expected out of him.
They wanted Pan's Labyrinth 2, which, it's Hollywood. Of course they want the sequel that's just as good, if not better, than the last one. But that's not. I don't think that's how Del Toro works. I've seen him in interviews. That's not how his brain works. He's on to the next thing.
And then once he was released to do his own thing again, he gave us Pinocchio. And I think I've ranted and raved about that movie enough on this show.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But
Liz, rant, rave, what? When does that happen?
You can see his elements still touch through this, So the people who was watching all of his other things, you're still going to get satisfied because there are elements in this.
Right,
but there was just a whole different vibe and movement to this movie, So you could tell he was actually having fun with it and got to be creative again. And
doing something a little different. And
yeah.
It's still him, but it's him doing something else.
Yep.
And that's.
But you could watch it and go, "Oh, this is so him."
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep.
Yeah, I was looking through this other guy's stuff. I've seen some of them, but nothing really stands out. So yeah, that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I mean, Shyamalan did some decent stuff along the way after Sixth Sense, but I think having that, like you said, having that huge success early can really be a problem because then there are expectations.
You have to top it each
Right,
time, or they think they do.
Well, and everybody else, the audience thinks that you should top it every time, and I don't know. I mean, where these people get this idea is absolutely insane, but
Yeah.
that's not how that works.
See, and I'm not unreasonable. I don't think they should
Really?
top it,
Are we
but
sure?
at least keep the same consistency with me. You know, don't give us Sixth Sense and then come back with Looney Tunes. You know? So, kind of at least be consistent, and I'll go there with you.
Not sure that was a good example, but okay.
Well, yeah, but two extremes, you know.
Yeah, but just a lot of twists in Looney Tunes. So who knows? Maybe that's where he got the idea in the first place.
As I say, half the time you don't see that safe coming.
Mm-hmm. Coyote never saw that damn safe coming. I'm just saying. Except for the last second where he would turn and wave at the camera. Or hold up the yipe sign. Uh-huh. No, I agree. This is a really good movie. Funny story. 25 years later with this movie, I still haven't rewatched it. I bought it on DVD or got it as a gift. I forget which. It immediately, when I saw it, it immediately went on my wish list, and I got it at some point, and I put it on my shelf, and I don't think I've even ever taken the plastic off.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those that, well, and probably I was tainted by some of the stuff he did later that I watched that wasn't as good, and and it took me a while to figure out why I never rewatched The Sixth Sense, but I think I finally realized it's because I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I liked it so much and enjoyed that twist so much. I don't want to go back and watch it and see little things in the movie that either make me mad that I didn't see it the first time or essentially just skew my opinion or views on it in any other way.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin that first watch in my own head. As fuzzy as it's getting now, it's still there, and I know me, and I'll remember every frame of the damn thing if I watch it again to this day. Maybe someday I'll be able to, but I'm not there yet. Because
I mean, I think the flashbacks at the very end when it's finally becoming clear to him that he's dead, I think they did a good job of kind of showing you what you missed. But like I said, watching it again for me, there was just, a few different things too that was like, okay, that makes sense now, Like when they go to the funeral and he found the box and he's giving it to the dad, and it's like, really? He didn't say anything to that dad. He brought a kid to, some unknown kid's funeral. So it's little things like that. Toward the second go around, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense why he didn't. And I think it started clicking for him too, that's why she's mad at me, and that's why he won't talk to me.
That's why she's ignoring me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's why everybody's ignoring me.
Yeah, and why time seems to be going differently for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad out of all the ghosts and stuff that kid saw, he did. That's another thing. He said that, he says, well, why do they talk to you? And he says, because a lot of them don't know that they're dead yet. But then you have other ones who seek this kid out, I guess because they know they can see him, or he can see them. So it's kind of like, don't they know they're dead if they're seeking him out? So that was kind of confusing, but sometimes it made sense and sometimes it didn't.
Right. Which actually makes it feel almost more real, because a lot of things make sense sometimes and not others.
Yeah. Or like maybe with that little girl, she knew she was dead, but she knew she couldn't go peacefully yet until she had the mom taken care of,
Hmm. Yeah, you get a lot of that metaphysical stuff going on.
When they say unfinished business.
Yeah. Very common theme in movies, really, when dealing with dead people and ghosts.
Yeah.
Very common theme in ghost literature throughout the ages.
Yep.
Well, once people started treating them as potentially sympathetic, anyway.
Les, your thoughts?
Well, I was going to turn to you for a second. When did you figure it out?
Me?
Yes, sir.
I didn't figure it out until they started piecing everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, as Mike has mentioned, this has kind of become a hallmark for his movies. All the other movies, I figured out the twist pretty damn early. But this one I didn't. I did not see coming. I know some people who've said that they had it figured out early, and hey, I applaud them that they were able to do that. But no, I did not see it coming.
Neither did I.
I didn't either.
I thought
Even when the little kid said that he saw dead people, it didn't click to me that Bruce Willis was one of the ones dead. I think I actually finally went, oh, when he told her, if you talk to her while she's sleeping, she'll hear you.
Right.
And that's when it clicked to me, he's dead. That's quite a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have caught that, but I didn't.
So I caught it before Bruce Willis did, but yeah. Most people say they caught it when he said, I see dead people.
Okay.
When did you figure it out?
I got it verified at the King Arthur play. When, through the movie, like we've discussed, no one spoke with Willis.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it was verified after the play when the boy said, just like Liz said, you can go to her at night when she's asleep. To me, that was the giveaway right there.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. It's one of his better movies.
Mm-hmm.
But he did movies with Willis again, at least three more,
Mm-hmm.
which I really recommend. That's Unbreakable, The Happening, and Glass. Oh, did Willis appear in Split?
Yeah, I've not seen Glass or Split, but that's the trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Unbreakable was good. I didn't see the others.
Yeah, I enjoyed Unbreakable. Yeah.
I don't see Willis listed for Shift, but I think he was in it. Or in Split, but I think he was in it.
Man, it takes a while to scroll through all the stuff he's been in.
Oh,
Bruce
yeah.
Willis? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
just look for David Dunn as his character, and that's how you find him.
And there was quite a bit of time between Unbreakable and the others, as I recall.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I knew
'Cause,
he was in a lot of stuff. I just didn't know he was in a lot this much stuff.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
Yeah. And I don't want to be disrespectful in saying this, but I've kind of wondered. Of course, we know that Bruce Willis right now has some mental issues, and not mental as in he's crazy, but
Like dementia type stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
where he can't, losing his speech and stuff. Do you think somebody who is experiencing where they're trying to remember their memories and someone who's acted in this many movies, do you think sometimes that's confusing to them? To where I remember parts and pieces of a life that maybe, you've played in a movie or something, and, that's a lot of stuff to memorize. I know it sounds crazy, but that's a whole lot of stuff to memorize,
I have heard that one of the tricks to being good at acting is essentially the ability to forget some of that stuff. I mean, you're memorizing lines, but the other thing you're doing is you're forgetting them as fast as you can so you can memorize more lines.
Yeah.
You kind of have to treat your brain as temporary storage.
But wouldn't some of that stick in like your subconscious?
Oh, it could, sure. That depends on how into it you get, though. I mean, if you're really just reciting lines, that's less likely that that's going to stick. But I mean,
Yeah.
the roles that as an actor you really felt something for, yeah, you might get glimmers of that down the line, sure.
Like his Die Hard stuff. That's
I doubt
kind of.
that. See, and I mean, that those are just action movies. I find it hard to believe that any of that stuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there's not a
kind of
lot
hope
of character
it
development
doesn't,
there. There's not a lot of,
Yeah,
I just find it hard to believe that works that way.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure for some people it does, but I think that's probably really rare. Because, like I said, one of the things they're trying to learn to do is forget things.
Yeah.
Especially things that are unimportant, like the lines I read yesterday afternoon.
Yeah. It's just one of those things you think about,
No, it's one of those things you think about, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you're not alone. Don't get me wrong. I say that snarky like, but we all do it. Hell,
Yeah.
we all go down rabbit holes.
I hope it wouldn't, but I could see it be very confusing if it did.
Oh, hell yeah, absolutely. Because whose life are
Trying
you
to
remembering?
remember who you are, and not that you're not,
Not that you played Macbeth
John
for
McClane
2.5 years on Broadway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
I think he tried real hard to forget that after a while. But I also suspect that was a character that was actually closer to his own personality too.
Yeah.
But we have not discussed that movie on this show yet.
I'll make a note of that.
I think the first thing I ever saw him in was Moonlighting.
That was pretty much the first thing he was ever in. That was
Right.
Was it?
national.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably very weird how much I really enjoyed that show when it was actually on the air. Because I was, 14?
Yeah. I was 10.
Yeah. Honestly, probably what I liked about that show, and we are a little off in the weeds at this point, was the weird shit that they did sometimes. It wasn't. I mean, the mystery part was fine. It was okay. That some of that was interesting too, but then they would just do this weird ass episode for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was fun. That they would just, okay, we're just gonna do Shakespeare this week for no reason.
I liked the chemistry the two had.
And
That
talk
love
about,
you, hate you kind of thing.
and talk about a classic case of screwing that up
Yeah.
with the writing. Oh my God. They broke their own show.
Yeah.
They made a huge mistake in, like, what was it, third season?
I don't remember.
'Cause I think it was only 4, right? I could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was 4 seasons, and they broke it in the third season, or like going in, like at the end of the second season or something like that. They made the classic mistake of, well, we'll just let them have what they seem to want, but have been fighting all this time. Well, A, it hasn't been all this time. It's only been a couple of seasons. You should ride that crest while you can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, they didn't seem to know what to do with it after they did it.
Yep.
Because the writing went to shit at that point. And it was no longer a mystery show.
Same thing happened to Bones. Once they put the two together, it was kind of like, Part of what made it good between them two was the tension they had, you
Right.
know. So once you put them finally together, you break that tension, and it's kind of like, well, that's kind of what was fun to watch.
Right,
The
so now
swerve.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do we handle this now? Well, sometimes you can do it, and sometimes you can't. And
Yeah.
for sure, Moonlighting couldn't do it.
Mm-mm.
They killed it. I was 14 and I realized that. I was like, oh God, no, this is a different show now.
Yeah. Can't always give the audience what they're asking for.
Right. You
'Cause
can't
they
always
don't
give
know
the
what they're
characters what
asking
they're
for.
asking for either.
Yep.
Because a lot of times they're wrong. That is another classic mistake, is don't ever ask somebody what they want. Fuck, they don't know.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they cannot put into words what they actually want.
Well, they know
What's
what they
gonna make
want
them-
right now.
It's going to make them happy. And so if you ask them, you're going to get BS because they don't know. Got to find other ways to get that information out of them. Got to be psychological at them. Anyway, weeds.
Yep.
Sixth Sense.
Mm.
It's definitely good. I would definitely tell everyone they need to at least watch it once. Even if you've seen all the memes and you know what's going to happen. I mean, knowing what was going to happen, I was still in the movie going, when is it going to happen? So it's...
See, I didn't know it was going to happen when I saw it. I saw it early on. I'm pretty sure I went to the theater to see it.
Yeah,
So
we
I
did
didn't
too.
know I didn't know there was a quote unquote twist, which is why it caught me off guard. The only problem now with recommending it is, I don't know what it's going to be like for someone who already knows the twist. I have no idea what that person is going to see.
Yeah.
I think it's probably still a good movie.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So go for it, but you're not going to get the same experience I got. Not that that's not true of everything, but...
No, I think it's a different experience because, like I said, for me, it was like, okay, I remember this happened, but when? And I didn't realize I didn't have a clue until pretty close to the end of the show.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because in my head, it was like as soon as the kid said that, he was like, oh, I've been shot. It wasn't. There was still good 20, 30 minutes after that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I was just as clueless as Bruce Willis on that one.
Yep, me too.
Bruce Willis then, not
And
taking
see,
shots
that's
at dementia.
Right.
one of the good ways that this movie handled those kind of things. They cut it just at the right time at the very beginning, so you didn't see. You saw he got shot, but he skipped ahead enough, and just the way everything was set up, you wouldn't have known until he told you what was going on. Even when I think about him sitting in the living room with the kid's mom, when the scene shot in, we didn't know how long he had been there. We didn't know how he even got there,
Right.
if he had knocked on the door and talked to her. So, the audience is kind of left clueless to that, because you're thinking surely she let him in, a live person she would have, but
Then we had no
yeah,
reason to believe at that point.
yeah,
So it was, I mean, you make your own assumptions because they're leaving out that kind of detail. They're just jumping to
yeah,
the point where you would make the assumption that, oh, he rang the bell and she let him in. You wouldn't even think about
yep.
it.
And they've
He's
been sitting
there.
there talking,
Right.
because then she even told him, the kid, you've got an hour. Well, an hour makes sense for a therapy session.
Right, but it
Then
also
she
makes
was
sense
making
if he's got
talking,
soccer
whatever.
practice in an hour,
Yeah,
which they don't. But he cut out of that scene before you get to that point, so you don't
yeah,
know. But your
I
brain
don't
will
know.
make the assumption of something like that.
Yep. That she was giving him space for that,
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, even knowing it's a good movie, because it's things like that you're still going, oh, okay, that's why he didn't see him, or I do have to admit, though, I didn't like that they kind of set it up that she was having an affair. I didn't like that. That was kind of, they didn't have to do that part. He could have figured it all out and everything else without that even being in there.
Yeah, but it explains the tension that was there. It explains the
Yes.
discontentment on both sides with the relationship.
And I think, too, they should have kind of let us know how much time had gone past. I don't think they ever addressed that.
They didn't need to.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Well, I mean, if he died last month, it would be kind of weird that she was moving on, But if it had been a year or two, you could understand her moving on,
Right, but if they put a
Which,
time frame on it, then that would people would start thinking about that. So you leave
yeah,
that time frame out, and you can play with it a little bit.
yeah. Well, he also had the trauma, though. It's easy to kind of distance yourself from a spouse after you've been through a trauma that way, He brought danger into their home, and he didn't mean to, which kind of led them to growing apart a little bit, Or that's what they wanted you to believe, but then they brought the other guy in, and it was like, they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, still awesome movie. It's up there with one of my favorites. Like I said, I always enjoy a movie where they can mess with your mind, and you don't know they're messing with your mind. You figure it out.
Oh, they tell you. I mean, they flat
Yeah,
out tell you.
he slapped you with it.
Uh-huh. Yep. Very effectively.
Yep.
Well, I recommend it as well. I enjoyed it. Very relatable characters. That's the thing. You kind of care about all of them. You can understand what they're going through, even not knowing the whole situation. But, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. They set the characters up as being sympathetic, even when they were not all sympathetic.
Yeah.
And I mean, how do we don't really ever know everything about everybody anyway, so it
Right.
felt more natural that way. That we're constantly learning little things about people.
Hmm. Okay. Any final thoughts? Go ahead and wrap things up here.
Nope. Check it out if you haven't. I mean,
Yep.
obviously spoilers, but not surprising.
I agree, though.
Okay, on that note, we're going to take another quick break and be back with Geek News for You. And we're back. It's time for Geek News for You. In this segment, we bring a couple of news items to the table for discussion. This week is Mikey and me. And Mikey, would you like to go first, please, sir?
Oh, sure. Mine is this week not so much a news item as more of an event. By the time this episode drops, the Summer Olympics will be mostly over. But as the Olympics is the Olympics, I think it's still noteworthy. If nothing else, it is an interesting representation of kind of a weird mishmash of sports and politics, which I'm not going to go into the politics part of it. Don't worry. If anything, I'm more. What fascinates me more is how we get to consume that media, which I don't remember exactly how long it's been, but back when NBC was just NBC, they started paying the Olympic Committee a boatload of money to be the exclusive broadcaster for the Olympics. And I imagine they're still paying them a boatload of money to do it now. I don't know whether I'm not going to say whether it's a positive or a negative that we get one representation of it. We only see what NBC chooses to show us. Because, I mean, what they're showing us is, I think for the most part, mostly genuine. And part of that is because a lot of what they're showing us is sports that generally don't get a lot of airplay otherwise. I mean, they're making a big deal this week out of track and field. Track and field you don't see that on TV anymore, like pretty much at all. I mean, unless you're watching an obscure highlights thing from ESPN or something, you're not seeing a lot of track meets. And you're still not seeing them even there because it's just not this, at the risk of being crass, it's not what sells. And so it's not that nobody wants to watch it, it's that not enough people want to watch it to preempt a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game. And so what we end up getting from NBC now is, I almost feel bad saying it, but we get kind of a weirdly dramatized version of the quote unquote story, because there are stories. I will give them credit for sure for giving us a reminder that there are stories there. There are people who do these things. There are people who participate in these sporting events, and there are stories behind those people. And so they do an interesting job of trying to share that with the viewing audience. Now, I'm not going to go into whether or not they do it perfectly or not. I'm sure they don't. I'm sure there are weirdnesses that they don't really get into, and there are weirdnesses that happen when you're translating that sort of thing. I think they do place a little too much emphasis on specific events. Like, for example, I've never understood why gymnastics is so important in the Olympics. It doesn't really seem to be any more so than any other event. But for some reason, they really plug the shit out of gymnastics. They kind of do it with swimming too. And I think part of that is that, I mean, keep in mind, the United States sends twice as many athletes to the Olympics as any other country. I mean, literally twice as many athletes. So we have people that are good at a lot of the events. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so they're sort of really trying to plug. They're a United States-based company. They're trying to appeal to the United States as an audience. How fair that is to everybody else, I don't know. But they also do try to emphasize some other athletes from other countries from time to time. They've been doing a pretty good job of talking about one of the French swimmers this time around. So I've lost interest in sports kind of a long time ago. I have very little interest in sports anymore. But I find the Olympics interesting kind of in the way I find old weird movies interesting, because there's stories that are there, and to see which ones they pick and which ones sometimes they don't, because sometimes you hear about those. That to me makes it interesting in a way that watching a bunch of people swim back and forth in a swimming pool is not. I mean, yeah, sure, they're fast, but so what, right? I mean, I'm not sure who wins and who loses is important in those things. I think the stories is what matters. And that NBC places some emphasis on that. I think they should get a little bit of credit for that. I mean, how they're choosing them, I don't know. I hope they're doing a good job of choosing them, because I don't know that I would want to be the guy doing it. But
yeah.
So it's for my money, it's interesting to kind of keep an eye on that, or keep your brain in that brain space when you're watching that stuff, because it's easy to just sort of get frustrated when they're talking about this one competitor's life story. But that's kind of really what matters in all of this, I think. So, I don't know, just kind of my 2 cents. I think it's important because of that, and that it doesn't happen very often. So.
Okay. Well, for me, my news item, y'all probably heard about this. There's a movie out right now. It's called Deadpool and Wolverine. You heard of this? You've
No.
heard of this film?
No.
Okay.
Heck no.
There seems to be a lot of good things about this film. It just crossed the 1 billion in earnings worldwide.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It actually surpassed the Last Temptation of Christ as the highest grossing rated R film of all time. It seems like
that.
Yeah. It seems to garnish really good reviews. It seems like everybody seems to love the film. Everybody seems to be having a good time, except for one person.
Dog pool?
And this one person let the Hollywood Reporter know about this, and it's kind of blown up a little bit. This one person is Roy Thomas.
Oh Lord.
If y'all remember, a couple of months back, we covered the news item about the fact that he had been given co-creation credit for Wolverine by Marvel, which kind of upset a lot of people because he was actually the editor at the time, and his contribution were basically suggestions. They weren't exactly. They were suggestions. They didn't do it. It was actually Lynn Wein, Herb Trimpe, and John Romita Sr. They've been listed as the creators of Wolverine for a very long time until this point. Well, the movie has come out, and Roy has come out and said that he's upset because his name was not listed first.
Jesus.
What in the hell is this guy thinking?
He's not.
He's not. A lot of people, especially people in the industry, are going. He is being influenced by this other guy, which I don't remember his name right now, and it doesn't matter. I don't want to give him the attention.
Right. Don't give him any credit.
Because this is more than likely the same person who's been on Thomas's shoulder saying you should have credit for creating this character. So yeah, I mean, he's made the world known that he's upset at the fact that his name was not listed first as the co-creator of Wolverine.
Yeah, something's wrong there. Something's not right at all.
But remember when this first happened, he was all like, "Oh, I'm not doing it for the money, blah, 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 blah." But now you're pissed because your name ain't first.
Yeah, but apparently he's doing it for the credit.
Yeah.
Which, something's not right.
Yeah.
Something is
Yep.
seriously
I don't
wrong
think
here.
they should have given him credit to begin with,
Right. I agree. But it's been done. So.
Petty you.
That's a shame. Something's wrong, and nobody knows how to fix it at this point.
So, in the news section, I will not only with my article, I'll post another article that has a lot of the responses from people in the industry, and they've not been kind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are upset. I mean, they were already upset in the first place, but now that he's come out and said, "Hey, his name was not listed first," that's just made things even worse. So,
how about we put your name first on the shit list?
Is he listed at all?
Yes, I mean that was
Okay.
The whole thing, because that's Marvel gave him acquiesced and gave him credit for co-creating Wolverine, even though all he basically did was, hey, we should come up with a character that comes from Canada that's small and has an attitude problem, that kind of something like that. I mean, he listed a couple of things, but I mean, these were suggestions. Like editors
not like he did
like
the
editorial
work.
comments,
Yeah.
right.
Like wrote it or drew it or inked it or lettered it. He just was like, hey, how about, yeah.
So based off that, he feels he should have credit. Which, I mean, if that's the case, man, how many stories has he written and he created characters? Is he willing to give up ownership to editors that may have suggested things to him as well? I mean, we're not going to, we don't really need to go down
We've
that road.
had the conversation about that, sure.
We've had the conversation.
And it hasn't really changed.
No, it's not, and it's not going to. So,
yeah.
So
It's crazy.
It's sad.
It is.
It's puzzling.
Yeah.
Is he involved with Marvel anymore?
No,
He retired some time ago, didn't he?
he's just basically just doing the convention circuit. Matter of fact, he was here just a few weeks back.
Now, haven't the other two passed away?
Oh, all three of them are no longer here.
See, that's why I find this very distasteful,
Hmm.
especially as far as credit goes. Well, why don't we honor those that have passed on? You know, yeah, he's a jackass.
Yeah.
That's
The
to
fact-
keep our rating.
Yeah, the fact that there's been a push, especially after the passing of John Romita and Lynn Wein, because I think Herb's been gone for a few years, but
Yeah. But
I
Lynn
think
just passed away
he
Not
he
long
passed
ago.
away
a few months ago, right?
within the last couple of years.
Wait, has it? I thought it was sooner.
Time doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Wow.
Any special shout outs or mentions this week?
Nope, I'm good.
Yep.
Nothing here.
Okay. We'll move on to our regular shout outs. Excuse me. First off, we'll go to Pop Goes the Culture for allowing us to be part of a great group of podcast networks. Definitely check them out. There'll be a link in the show notes so you can check out those other shows. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who are on Twitter/Hex that repost our links, and they are Podern Family. The best way to do that is do a search, #PodernFamily. Scroll through, whatever catches your eye, click on that link and download that episode. And we hope you have a great time listening to them. I want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying music to our podcast. In our show notes, there will be a link where you can check out some of their other music. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. Email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out there. We do have a Discord that you can join. We do have a comment section there, or feedback section there. In addition to that, we post a lot of news items, stuff for discussions, stuff to laugh at, stuff to watch. We'll have activities on Discord. So if you want to come hang out with us, by all means, please do. There is an invitation on the homepage, and sign up for Discord is free, and the apps are free in the app stores. Social media, we're on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. On Twitter and Instagram, we are at Fellowship Geeks. If you'd like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at TomTC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would be so kind as to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate the support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,